you will start to hear rumors of this before next hockey season. By August, September, October, you will start to hear rumblings of something happening in Arizona. A year from now, you're going to have concrete plans of where an ownership might put a building.
Is the NHL's return to Arizona one step closer? ASU Hockey continues to roll, and we are here to give you everything you need to know about the state of hockey in the state of Arizona. We are back on the PHNX Hockey Podcast. I'm Leah Merrall here with Steve Peters. Petey, how are you doing? I missed this.
Cannot believe I am sitting here in the studios of PHNX right now. Well, glad to be here.
Yes.
I'm glad to be doing this with you.
So glad.
It
feels right.
hard to do this on your own, as you know. But this is great.
Yeah.
It feels, I miss this. It feels like home.
It does. And us being together, it just feels right. And we felt like we were long overdue to come together and just talk about what's been going on in the Arizona hockey landscape, from the NHL's hopefully quest to return to the desert, as well as ASU hockey, the Roadrunners, high school hockey, just anything hockey related in Arizona. There's been a lot going on, so we wanted to get together and talk about it.
I think it's perfect timing to do that. Got a little break in the National Hockey League schedule right now.
Yep.
So it's a perfect time to catch everybody up in the state of Arizona on the state of hockey.
Absolutely. And let's start with the NHL. And we'll give a shout to our friend Craig Morgan, who in early January had reported that a newly elected Maricopa County Board of Supervisors chair, Tom Galvin, had announced the formation of a committee of political and business leaders to bring the NHL back to Arizona. And not only that, Galvin had spoken to NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman on Zoom prior to Christmas, which was confirmed by the commissioner himself. That's all per Craig's reporting. You can find all of that over at Craig's Substack. But really positive news. Galvin also had said in his article, in Craig's article, quote, "I have had several meetings with NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman, and he looks forward to working with us to identify an owner and the best location for a world-class building."
I mean, Leah, we're going to take this with a grain of salt. As we've said before, right here there's no shovels in the ground. They're not making a schedule with Arizona Coyotes 2.0 on it quite yet.
They haven't even identified land, ownership group, building. But
having said that, this is a positive step. One of the things that was always missing in the last ownership's search for a new building was support from a community and politicians. They just didn't have it. So I think getting a political engine helping with the search for an ownership and land and all of those things that are going to need to come together, I think it's a huge positive step. But people need to take it and pump the brakes a little bit. It's just a step in the process. It's a great step. It's a huge positive step. They haven't had a meeting yet. They haven't even named all the board members yet. Like, just hang on.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
Really, really, really good.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean the process is happening any faster. And I've said it all along. Hockey's coming. Hockey's coming back. And I'm sorry, people north of the border. Hockey will be in Arizona before it's in Quebec City. Sorry. And it's going to be back soon. It'll be back because Gary Bettman wants it here. Gary Bettman wants to make this happen before he retires. And I do think Arizona, right now, there's a list of cities. And I think we've heard a lot about Atlanta and we've heard a lot about Houston. Arizona's right there. The one difference is going to be a building. Houston's got a building. They got an owner. Craig has reported many times that Fertitta does not want to have a NHL team. I think that's changing. Atlanta's got the land, got the district, they've got everything ready. They've got plans, but they haven't started building yet. So if Arizona can get going quickly and plan quickly, there's no reason why their name can't be thrown in with those other two. I still see this is going to be a 4-team increase, and Arizona will be one of those 4 teams.
Wow.
Will be, not might be, not could be, will be.
It's funny. It's like you think of the space race. It's like the rink race in the NHL. So Arizona better get moving. And I had written about my reaction to this news last month. You can find that up at gophnx.com. But kind of the two sides of this news. The one is the realistic side, which we already mentioned, that this doesn't really mean anything concrete. It doesn't mean shovels, a building, an ownership group, money. It doesn't mean any of that. But it's it means a lot because if you are aware of just the history of the NHL in this state and all of the political opposition from those contentious Glendale City Council meetings in the mid to early 2010s, the Tempe Council, the opposition to that Tempe vote, all of that, it's all been so drenched in the politics of the state, and there has never really been a politician ever who's come forward and said, like, I want this. We're going to make this happen. Like, we're going to work together across political and business leaders to make this happen. And that's what Tom Galvin did. And as of, this time, they haven't announced those members of that committee. I'll be very curious to learn who's on that. I'll be curious to learn what their next steps are going to be and how this is going to hopefully get us to that point of having money, ownership, shovels, land, etc. But to me, it's a positive. And I think it's okay for you to be pessimistic and optimistic at the same time, because nothing is ever just black and white. This is as gray as it gets, as has been this entire thing. So you can be optimistic and you can also be realistic. But I think we can also acknowledge that this is a step in the direction and one that's never been taken before in the previous 28 years of an NHL team being here.
Without a doubt, Leah. When you talk about the political climate and the political community coming together, it's also going to help bring and bridge that business leadership group. And we saw in the previous ownership group how it was contentious with community leaders, with politicians, with business leaders, with community organizations. It was contentious. And it can't work that way here in Arizona. It just can't. It's going to have to be everybody working together. And this is a step to do that. And I want to talk timelines too, because I've talked to a lot of people that are, there's no money here. There's no money. It's going to be $2 billion. Buddy, there are people with billions of dollars in Arizona.
There's money here. Have you been to Paradise Valley?
Buddy, no, there's money here. There are people. This is going to be, I don't even know if finding the one or two or three big money guys. I think it's the periphery, the additional monies that you're going to need to get this thing over the finish line that are going to take. But once you get that in place, then it's finding the land. And we've gone through the county islands. If they don't have an idea of where this building is going to be by now, because we've done the homework, so they have. So then it's the building, and then it's a matter of getting an architect to start building. I'm telling you, and again, not a reporter.
He's not reporting this.
So Craig is a reporter. When Craig says it is because he has sources. I do not, but I'm telling you right now, it is February of 2025. You will start to hear rumors of this before next hockey season. By August, September, October, you will start to hear rumblings of something happening in Arizona. A year from now, you're going to have concrete plans of where an ownership might put a building. Count it.
Wow.
14 months. 14 months from now.
Clip this.
It's coming. It is coming. And the timelines to get a team playing in here, 29-30 is if everything goes perfect. The league okays it. The building, there's no problems with any lawsuits. 29-30 is optimistic. I think 30-31, Coyotes 2.0 emerges from the ashes.
Wow, like a phoenix.
See what I did there? 20-30-31. There you go.
Wow. Okay.
There's the mic if I had one.
There's your bold
That's
take.
what I truly believe.
I like that.
There's so many optimistic things happening here with the right people involved. I think this is going to work.
Okay.
Atlanta's getting a team for the third time.
Yeah.
Buddy, they're coming back.
And by the way, there was a report that Gary Bettman was possibly retiring very soon. And actually, Craig himself, Gary Bettman told Craig, that's actually not quite true. No. And I really think this is going to be Gary. He will not. This probably keeps him up at night. This is going to be his final act as commissioner. I agree.
I do. And I think that too. I think he gets this done. He gets the 4 teams back. He gets the owners their billions of dollars in fees and expansion fees. And then he walks away into the sunset. A hero.
And then he can retire in Paradise Valley. And all of the Coyotes fans will
be glad to have him.
And all the Coyotes fans will cheer for him in the streets. Right now, one of the few places, maybe not as much over the last year, but that's okay. Because we've been hurt. But if he does this, I think he will go down as this might be the only place where he is revered and not booed. So there you have it. And of course, when the team does return, because we're going to use those optimistic phrases, the Arizona hockey community will be ready and waiting. We are here, ready, in the periphery.
Yeah.
We are waiting. We are supporting the other teams here in the desert in the meantime, whether that's ASU, whether it's high school.
Yep.
We'll talk about all of those, whether it's supporting youth hockey, girls hockey, women's hockey, adult league, the Alpha League, whatever it is. And it's really cool to see how people here have really embraced that and have, dived fully into that. We actually just had our takeover the other day. PD attended.
I attended
our
the takeover. They did not change the locks.
No,
well, I don't have a key.
But
I don't have a key, Brandon.
But to me, what that shows is that the community is bigger.
There.
It's bigger than just
Absolutely.
one thing, and it's there, and it was really cool to see. And we have a photo of everybody who came, and unfortunately, there's actually people who didn't quite make the photo.
Make it to the photo because they were mingling.
Yes, but
mingling a mullet.
It's even more people than in this photo, and obviously so many people beyond who weren't even at the takeover. I know that with certainty, but I think it was just really cool to see, and really cool to see everybody still supporting hockey and ready and waiting, and whatever that looks like in a few years, we'll be ready.
I do have something to say on that, Leah, because as I've been away, taking a step back from things here, I've been talking to other people around the league, and I've heard more than once about, well, Arizona doesn't have the fan base, or they couldn't fill a 4,000 seat building, and I just, first of all, stop that. Just please, it's there's so much more than that. There is a very solid hockey fan base here in the state of Arizona. There is, and they just need things to be right. They need a building and a location where they can get to the games, which they didn't have when it was in the West Valley. They need a building that can seat more than 4,000 people, which they didn't have in the East Valley. When all of these things come together, there are hockey fans here. They're in the desert. There's so many people that have relocated from north of the border, from the Midwest, from the upper Northeast of the United States. Hockey fans are here. They just need a product that, one, they can root for and be proud of, and two, in an arena and a building that's accessible to them. And I think if you put all those things together, the hockey fans are here. You can bash the ownership. I do it. I'm all in. You can even criticize the on-ice product when they were here playing, but please stop criticizing the fan base of the people in Arizona, because it's just not fair.
In fact, I would argue that they're the best fans, because to go through all of this and still care,
Agreed.
Really, I think is reflective of the human beings that
I agree, Leah.
Care.
I agree.
But you said all those things, an accessible building, a product to root for. Let's talk about Arizona State, because talking about all those things coming together, my oh my, has this team really taken off in 2025. And it's ironic because, in the fall and winter, you and I sat here and we talked about, injury struggles, and they're on the precipice. They've been on the road. They were okay, but they needed to take that step when all those players came back from injuries, and they've done just that, PD. As of this week, ASU is ranked 10th in the USCHO poll after splitting the weekend against number 6 Denver, the defending champs, by the way, who ASU has a 3-1 record against.
Unbelievable.
This season. Imagine telling anybody that before the year began.
Yeah.
The Sun Devils have won 9 of 12 games in 2025. Ryan Kerwin was named the NCHC Forward of the Month last month with 11 goals, 6 assists, 17 points, and a +9 rating. And on the horizon, a series against Minnesota, Duluth, Western Michigan, and Omaha. Those are the 3 series to round out the year. The NCHC quarterfinals are March 14th and 15th. PD, your thoughts on ASU's unbelievable second half to their year?
Well, it's funny because when we talked to Coach Powers before the season started, they had a belief in that locker room and in that program that this is a team that could make the NCAA tournament. We were a little more pessimistic. And I thought joining the NCHC, which is the best, it's the SEC of college football for college hockey. It's the best conference in hockey. And they have a big hill to climb with the Denver Pioneers, the returning champions of the NCAA. And you go, they'll compete. I think they were good enough that they could compete, maybe finish middle of the pack. Well, they have 3 weekends to play. They're tied for second with Omaha, Nebraska, who they play. And
tied for second. Can we just
tied for second
in the NCHC?
Yeah, and Omaha, Nebraska, they play a series
conference in college
and
hockey.
Western. The top, they play them head to head. They control their own destiny. This ASU team can win the NCHC. And I talked to Coach Powers just yesterday, and we were talking about what's realistic to make this tournament. Well, if you win the tournament, the NCHC tournament, which is in Minneapolis in the end of March. If you win that tournament, you're automatically in. But if this team, he thinks it's just over 500. If they can win 4 of their last 6, they're in on the pairwise. That's significant for this program to make the NCAA tournament, which I thought wouldn't happen for 4 to 5 years coming into this conference. As an independent, it's easier because you can force your own opponents and move up in the pairways. It's just different. Once you're in a conference, it's harder. And the NCHC being the most difficult, they could make it to the NCAA tournament in their first season. It's absolutely impressive. And if you're not following this team, get on the bandwagon, because if you saw the excitement around the ASU football program, it's the same excitement.
I feel like literally the calendar switched. The ASU Cinderella run ended with the Peach Bowl.
Yep.
And the vibes, like the good juju, transferred immediately to Mullet. And it's funny because you actually see Kenny Dillingham hanging around Mullet. He and Greg Powers have an unbelievable relationship. What ASU athletics has going on is amazing. But it's like the baton was passed. If you recall, when the NCHC preseason rankings came out, I think ASU was picked to finish second to last. And the NCHC, sound familiar? ASU football finished to pick last in the Big 12. First year in a new conference. The parallels are actually crazy. And now ASU hockey has gone on this Cinderella run, and don't discount them in the NCHC tournament either. Because if they're going to have this parallel year to what ASU football did, who says no? I mean, I'm all in. I'm all on board. The games over the weekend were so fun. And even that Friday game that they ended up losing in overtime to Denver, they stormed back to tie it with less than a minute to go in the game to send it to overtime. They had a chance. Both games are on TV, which is awesome. You can check them out on TV if you're not able to make the games in person at Mullet. But the atmosphere there is amazing with the student section. It's a sold-out crowd every night. I'm excited about this team. And I think it's great because we talked a lot again in the fall about with that NHL void, and ASU had, they had an opportunity to capture the hearts of the hockey fans in waiting here. And maybe it wasn't that magical start that we all had wished for, but the magic is happening now. Mullet magic is back. So get on the wagon. Yeah,
and it's funny because this is an older team. It's an experienced team. They got guys coming in through the portal. The one thing about ASU and people that live here in Arizona know the weather is very nice. Yeah. So if you need a recruiting trip, just take them outside and they come here. Yeah. So the portal has been very kind to ASU. But what that also shows is this is an attractive program. People just don't go here for the weather. They want to go somewhere where they can win. And when you're looking at some of the guys they got through the portal that are having success, we talk about Cruz Lucius and you talk about Noah Beck and guys that are making a
Ryan
difference.
Kerwin.
Pavicic in the net. They've got guys that are coming through the portal that are making big contributions to this team. And Ryan Curran is one of those names you need to know. And Artem Schlane right now might be the best player on this team. And his ability to play both ends of the ice. He can play a physical brand game, but he's also offensively gifted. So you need to know Artem Schlane's name. But this is a team. They play as a team. There's not one guy carrying the load for this ASU team. They all do it together. Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of we are this tradition, be part of the tradition, be the tradition that Coach Powers preaches. That's what this team reflects. Do they have the ability? Absolutely. I just want to temper things. There are some really big hockey teams in the NCHC, and Western Michigan is one of those teams that can physically push you out of a building. ASU was able to get through Denver, which is a big physical team. Michigan's a big physical team, but Western that they play later in this season is the biggest team they're going to face all year. And I want to see how they can respond to a physically dominating team. And I think that's one of the question marks I have with ASU. And I also want to see the consistency of this team in the net. And we've seen Pavicic and Homer Gibson and Gibson Homer. Sorry,
so
I do that
easy to mix up.
Yeah, Gibson Homer. I did that with Cruz Lucius Cruz. And the same thing. But that goaltending tandem, they need to be solid and consistent.
Yep.
If this team is going to make any kind of a run in the NCAA tournament, and they can. I tell you, that Pavicic kid competes. He competes incredibly hard. And Gibson Homer, when he is on his best, he's one of the best in the NCAA. He just has to find that consistency. Mm-hmm. So I'm rooting for this ASU team. I will be at the Mullet. So if you see me, say hi, because this team is exciting to watch. They have absolutely caught the Mullet magic, and they do have the excitement brewing on the ASU campus.
Yep. Absolutely. So, with no NHL here, get on the bandwagon. I'm a Wildcat, and I am fully on the ASU bandwagon until maybe one day the Wildcats will get an NCAA Division I team, and I can still cheer for their club team because it doesn't affect the Division I team up here. But I'm fully on the wagon, so get on it. And we had a blast at our takeover. So thank you again to everybody who came out. And this is my pitch to you. The hockey community, we're still active. We're still in our PHNX members Discord. You can become a diehard today. Join that. We have a hockey specific channel. We talk about ASU. We talk about the NHL, the NHL's quest to return here. We talk about Tucson and random other stuff as well. But also if you're just an Arizona sports fan, there's a place for you. So become a diehard today. Go phnx.com/diehard. It really means a lot to us. And also if you're watching this on YouTube, give a thumbs up on this video. Helps us out a lot. As well, if you're listening on audio, hit the little 5-star button. But to a team that maybe is struggling a little bit more, to move on from ASU, the Tucson Roadrunners, unfortunately, have kind of been on a little bit of a struggle bus. They're toward the bottom of the Pacific Division standings right now, hovering around a 500 record. The Roadrunners had lost 8 straight before they beat San Jose on February 7th. And before this week, they'd lost 11 of 15 games in 2025. So kind of a rough and rocky start for Tucson. The good news is Josh Doan is back with the team during this Four Nations face-off break, and there's a few individuals on the team that are having really strong years as well. But Tucson maybe not having that really successful year that they had hoped for before the year began.
And one of the things we talk about in the American League is your success is really dependent on the success of the big club. And I mean that not in performance success of the big club, but the big club's ability to stay healthy. And unfortunately, again, for the Tucson Roadrunners, it's been a lot of injuries up at the big club in Utah. And you look at what they've had to go through on the back end defensively. So you Maverick Lamoureux, who's a guy that you thought would be a part, and Koleachonok thought you'd be a part of the Tucson Roadrunners for the majority of the season. Well, Lamoureux goes up and gets hurt, has been out all season, and Koleachonok goes up and then gets claimed off waivers. So you're looking at 2 defensemen that you anticipated being there every single day are now not part of your program. And that really can affect it. I know Stauber had a stint up when Ingram got hurt, and injuries affect the American League team. Now, that's not everything. You can't blame it on injuries. They've had a tough time generating the offense that they were able to have a year ago. You're talking last year, they had Gunther and Doan, and they didn't have that combination this season, and they have struggled offensively a little bit. Kyler Yamamoto has been their best player. He's got 36 points in 36 games, so he's a point-a-game player, a guy that we thought might see some time with the big club and may yet before the end of the season, but it's an area that they've struggled, is to generate offense. And you hope with the remainder of this season, they can find a way to generate some offense and get a little spark as the season goes on and find their way, claw their way into the playoffs here in the Pacific Division.
Yep. But on a brighter note, this is crazy. I actually got an email about this earlier in the week. Next year's the Roadrunners' 10-year anniversary in Tucson, which for me, I was actually living in Tucson, going to the U of A when the team arrived. I went to the first ever Tucson Roadrunners game at Tucson Arena. And to hear it's been 10 years is insane. It sounds like they're going to do a lot to celebrate, have a 10-year anniversary logo. And I know there's a lot of question marks surrounding the future of the team in Tucson. But in the meantime, enjoy it. We talk about ways to enjoy hockey in the desert. Tucson's a quick 2-hour drive or less down the I-10. And because of the weekend series, you can make a little weekend trip out of it. We always pump the mini donuts, cash only, don't forget. We've had multiple people tweet at us that they've gone to the donut stand down in Tucson. So go check it out. And of course, there's a lot of familiar faces down there who we love to support. So all this to say, still a lot of great opportunities to catch hockey here in the desert, no matter where you are in the state. And there was one of those just recently at the beginning of the month, PD, you were there.
Yeah, we talk about all levels of hockey here, right, in the state of Arizona. And I tell you what, I got the opportunity to be a part of the Arizona State High School Hockey Championship at Mullet Arena. I'm telling you, get on board. because first of all, Todd Walsh joined the broadcast team this year, and it was actually on cable TV this year.
Also, that commercial promoting it was unbelievable. If you didn't see it, it was on our Twitter
and on asha.org. But the high school programs here, the high school hockey, Kenny McGillian, the president, has taken this to a new level. Get involved. The Pinnacle Pioneers win their 7th championship at Mullet Arena, beating Mountain Ridge 5-1. I was lucky enough to be there. Great excitement in the building. But, Leah, I don't know if I told you this. Next weekend, not like 3 days, like 10 days from now, they have, just like in basketball and football here in the state, they have several classes. Mm-hmm. That was the Division 1. That was the top tier. Okay. But now Division 2, 3, and the Junior Varsity Championships are coming up on February 23rd at the Mullet. 1 ticket gets you into all 3 games.
That's awesome.
Pinnacle will be in the championship of Division 2. They're in the semifinals of Division 3
and
in
Pinnacle.
JV. Pinnacle could be the first time in the state that there's a 4-level sweep.
Pinnacle, of course,
got a big hill to climb. That's where my
Pinnacle was. Well, yeah, that's where PD's son went. But Pinnacle was my rival high school. I'm a Horizon Husky, so
just go to the ASHA website and check out all the games happening on February 23rd, and go down to the Mullet. Watch a bunch of high school kids playing and having fun.
Affordable way to enjoy hockey, get in the rink
all day.
Sounds like a blast to me. There's nowhere else I'd rather be than watching hockey.
High school hockey.
Wow. Love it. Well, PD, it felt really good for us to sit together again and talk all things Arizona hockey. And our promise to all of you listening and watching is when there is big Arizona hockey news that we will talk about it, because we still want this to be the place to go. And just so you know, when a team returns here, we will be ready and we will be waiting. Yep. But in the meantime, we hope that you can follow along either in our Discord as a diehard, on our Twitter account at PHNX_hockey, but also make sure you're subscribed to Petey's YouTube channel.
I got my own stuff.
Time to plug. Let's go.
I'm Inside the Coaches Room. Go to Inside the Coaches Room on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. I will tell you this, Leah. I do everything at Inside the Coaches Room. I'm the producer. I help edit. I do everything. Literally everything. He does everything. So when you go there to the YouTube channel, don't expect the quality that you're going to see here at PHNX. There are misspellings because I don't spell very well. There are not perfect graphics because I'm doing them myself. But I still want to give you the perspective literally from what it's like inside the coaches room. So I'm trying to bring that perspective to people. So if you used to follow us here, jump on and give me a follow and subscribe at Inside the Coaches Room on YouTube. Yeah, absolutely. And it's been one of the coolest things about just PD's perspective in media over these last 3.5 years is having a coach like break things down, and there's really nowhere else that you can find that besides maybe like once a week on a panel. But you get this weekly on Inside the Coaches Room. So check it out. Be sure to support PD with these videos. Like the videos when you watch them, subscribe to the channel. All of that really goes a long way. The power of a like and a subscribe really goes a long way. So, and I want to say this though, Leah, that yes, absolutely go do that. But I appreciate the opportunity here at PHNX that kept their doors open for me and allowed me to come in and do the thing that I love to do, and that's talk about hockey. And this is beyond what people do for a living. This is about the community we talked about, the hockey community that we started here. I want to continue to be a part of because I'm a part of it. So thank you to everybody here. Thank you to Espo for opening the doors. Thanks for Leah for allowing me to come back and do something I really love to do. And that, to your point, when something happens, it'll be here. Absolutely. So we'll be right back here in Studio K, presented by Circle K. Time to get some snacks after this recording. I'm a little hungry, but like I mentioned, you can follow the PHNX Hockey at PHNX_hockey on Twitter. You can follow us on Twitter at Leah Merrall and at S Peters Hockey. Make sure you subscribe to Inside the Coaches Room and the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. And everybody, it was great talking hockey with you, and we hope to do it again very, very soon. We all silly like the mayor.